120 hand cannons. You guys remember that like a season or two ago at this point? Like, how crazy were 120 hand cannons? They were the king of the Crucible. And rightfully so. They were so useful at basically any range, competing with scout rifles, pulse rifles. They could do more damage in a burst than auto rifles. Like, they were just really, really, really good. And before that, adaptive frame 600 RPM auto rifles were the absolute bane in the sides of PvP players in the Destiny 2 community. And we had a lot of options. You had Gnawing Hunger, you had Arc Logic. Arc Logic was great. It's back in the loot pool now. But you had the Black Armory version of the Galliard, and then eventually you had the Summoner, which one of my favorites. Whenever the Adept one came along, you know, not only did it have great perk options, but it could also slot Adept mods and get the bonus stability and all that for everything whenever you masterwork it fully. It's just really good. But Gnawing Hunger was realistically, because of the potential perks that it could roll with, was kind of the best. And that's because it had a pretty small perk pool. It still does to this day. And basically everything you got on it was useful. like you couldn't really get one that wasn't some kind of user-friendly. And some of these other auto rifles, you know, have, you know, slightly different perk pools. A lot of people, I think, would say that, you know, given stats, the Galliard might have actually been the best. It was a kind of a sleeper. The problem was you couldn't really farm it reliably. And not the forges, but there was the Black Armory activity on the patrols that you could do, and that would allow you to potentially get that weapon, but there was no reliable way to farm it, so it was kind of frustrating. Now we have the Sorrow's Verse. Basically, a few seasons ago, back I think whenever Beyond Light dropped, Destiny, or Bungie, started adding what they call pinnacle weapons to certain activities, right? And so for each of your game modes, you had very specific weapons that you could grind for within that game mode, and basically get rolls to drop from, you know, game completions. And that's what Sorrow's Verse is. It's for the Crucible, and it's a 600 RPM adaptive frame arc auto rifle. It's really nice. It's got very clean sights, decent zoom. In fact, the stats are actually super comparable to the Gnawing Hunger. They're nearly identical, actually. Like, the Gnawing Hunger edges it in range and stability a little bit, and then this basically edges Gnawing Hunger in every other category. And but I mean, like we're pinching pennies here, you know. That's how close they are. And apart from just being, you know, really, really good, the problem is this has so many different options to pull from that it's not really reliable to get the absolute god roll. It's not easy to do. Okay, I'm talking on your 2 perks. You have 24 options to go for within the 2 columns. And if you're really trying to min-max and go for barrels and magazines, then you're looking at potentially thousands of combinations to get the one that you want, and that's ridiculous. So, looking at it, in the first perk column, we have Encore, Feeding Frenzy, Subsistence, Outlaw, Tunnel Vision, Surplus, 4th times the Charm, Heating Up, Killing Wind, Dynamic, Sway Reduction, Zen Moment, and Tap the Trigger. There's really only 2 options, or one option really, that you don't really want to get in here, and that's 4th times the Charm. That's, you know, like, if you're an absolute god with auto rifles and you know you're going to hit all your precision shots, then great. That can maybe help you out a little bit. I was going to say Encore, but, you know, I think Encore is actually pretty solid, because no matter whether you're getting precision shots or body shots, it gives you some kind of buff, right? So the way Encore works is, if you get a precision kill, you're going to get a range bonus that stacks, I think up to 5 times. And if you get non-precision final blows, it will remove a stack of range for every non-precision final blow you get, and once you're out of those, it will give you a buff to stability and accuracy, which is crazy, right? That's ridiculous to me. It's good. It's really good. So I can't even really say that. Subsistence, maybe, that's going to be more of a PvE type thing, and maybe even Outlaw. Like, reload speed on these is not terrible. And if you're playing on Hunter, you don't really have to worry about it. If you're playing on Warlock, you're probably using transverse steps. You know, you might be using something else. But, you know, there's ways around the reload speed, right? So, I'm just not really worried about that. What I have here today is Zen Moment on mine, and I'll talk more about what might be the actual God roll in a minute, but Zen Moment is really good so far. I think Surplus is going to be pretty solid, just because Surplus is so damned user-friendly. It gives you such a buff if you don't spam your abilities that frequently, that it's really one of the best perks in the game at this point in time, I think, if you're not spamming your abilities. And, you know, Bungie said that a while back, right? They said that they wanted to stop people from using so many abilities in favor of gunplay, and that's what Surplus is supposed to promote, right? So Surplus is great. It's worth it. It really is worth it. If you don't spam your abilities much, or if maybe you want to get away from spamming your abilities, try Surplus. It's really good. In the second trait column, we have Frenzy, One for All, Demolitionist, Harmony, Rampage, Wellspring, Thresh, Elemental Capacitor, Adrenaline Junkie, Unrelenting, Multi-Kill Clip, and Snapshot Sights. Now, there's a few here that are, you know, less than reliable, especially for PvP, and that's more or less what I'm talking from. Frenzy is, you know, that's not easy to use inside of PvP. You know, staying in gunfights, you know, dealing damage and taking damage, you know, that's, you know, you don't want to be consistently taking damage, so, you know, we try to stay away from that. One for All, also very hard to use. Now, you can always do the, you know, shoot 2 targets thing to get the damage buff, but is it worth it? It's pretty difficult to proc. If you can get it to work, then great. Demolitionist is really good, especially if you're running Warlock, and you like running, you know, your, you know, grenade builds and stuff like that. Or even like an Ashen Wake Titan, you know, Demolitionist is great, but not my favorite option. Realistically, Rampage, Multi-Kill Clip, those are going to be your 2 best bets, but the sleeper for me is actually Elemental Capacitor. And that's just because Elemental Capacitor gives you such a huge buff to whichever you're using, right? And I'm using Void on my Hunter for the stability, and that gives you plus 20 stability. And I'm pairing that with Zen Moment. It's already got decent range on it, with a range masterwork and some of the other buffs that... It's really like it stays like a laser beam at any range. But you could also potentially use the arc for the handling. Handling is great. That's great. You know, that's what allows you to, you know, ADS quicker and to, you know, use the weapon quicker. It's just it's good. It's good. But I'm playing in favor of stability on this. And then, of course, you know, Rampage is great because you don't really have to worry about reloading with that. Multi-Kill Clip, also pretty good because, I don't know if you know this, but Multi-Kill Clip works better than Kill Clip in that with Kill Clip, you have to wait until Kill Clip runs out before you can reload again after getting a kill to proc it again, right? With Multi-Kill Clip, you get a kill, you reload, you get Multi-Kill Clip procced, right? And then you get another kill, you can reload again and proc it again. I don't know if this is a, you know, like a bug with Kill Clip, or if that's just the way they programmed it, but it doesn't always work super consistently. And granted, it is, you know, a really good damage bonus, but with Multi-Kill Clip, even with 1 stack, it's not bad. But I play in favor of Rampage just because Rampage spec is a thing, and that'll help it last just a little bit longer. Yeah, pretty good though. The roll that I have here today is going to be Zen Moment Elemental Capacitor, and I love it. I think it's great. As you can see, it's an absolute laser beam. But let me know, guys. Let me know what rolls you have on this auto rifle. I really like it so far. It's pretty sexy. It takes shaders real well, and yeah. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and Godspeed, my friends.